Hi, my name is Patrick from CADconverters, and this is just a short video for anybody that's new to Autodesk Revit who wants to understand more about the user interface. So on previous video I'd sort of gone through what this sort of screen looks like and etc. So you can watch that from the previous one. So on this one I'm just going to run through the options section to just give you an idea of where your options are, where you can change things and adjust it to how you like it. So at the top you can see you've got this big R, or the applications button. If you click that, and then you'll see down here you've got options. So I'm going to click on that one. You can see you've got different sort of tabs across here, different ones, and we'll go through them in a moment. So I'll start with general, and you can see you've got notifications. So this is where you can set your save times. So every 30 minutes you get a really inconvenient little pop-up window that says, do you want to save or continue? So that's where they are. It's good practice to have that set to about 30 minutes, to be honest. You can see though you've got 15 minutes, 1 hour, 4 hours, no reminders, whatever you want, but 30 minutes is pretty good, to be honest. The last thing you want it to do is, God forsake, crash, and then you've lost only 30 minutes of work. If you've had it there and you've been working on it for 4 hours, then well, you can figure that bit out. You can see you've also got a synchronize with central reminder, and that's when you use a function in Revit called work share, where multiple people can work on the project at the same time, all in one place, which is really good, to be honest, a really good time saver. But again, I would have mine set to 13 minutes for that as well. You'll see you've got your username there, so whatever your computer name is, that's what it will be called. You can see you can sign into an Autodesk 360, so if you have got an account with them, which I think when you first purchase it you do get an account with them, or you should definitely set one up, because you get some rendering points that you can go off and send all your fancy models up for rendering. You got some cleanup files where it cleans all your backups. You've then got work sharing frequency, so how often it should clean all them up, when you should be work sharing. And then you've got the default view set to coordination, which to be honest you can leave as it is, but you can see you've got different ones there. So if you were an architect you could have it on architectural, but to be honest it's fine on that one. Then you've got the user interface. Now each one of these ticks here that you can see, it relates to, I don't know if you can just about see across the top, so you've got architecture tab, structure tab, systems tab. Each one of them is referring to that. Now if I was to untick architectural there, if I untick that, that will mean that that tab there will disappear. So if you're not working on structures, for argument's sake, untick it, it won't be in that list, and you can't select on anything by mistake. But generally when you first start using the software you probably want all of them on, to be honest, at least till you're comfortable about navigating, you know where things are and you know what you're using and not using, so it's good practice to leave that on. Then you can see we've got active theme, we've got light and dark, so either grey or grayer, it's up to you. We've got some keyboard shortcuts, and we can do another video on them, but basically if you have come from AutoCAD or MicroStation, I think, but definitely AutoCAD, you can have short keys, so you can set them up. You've got your double click options, so in Revit there's a lot of double clicking and you can customize what that does. So if I was to double click on a family, then it'll open it, but you can set them as you need to, and again we could maybe do a video to run through that. Tooltip assists are really useful, and you probably want them on when you first start using the software as well. So I'm just going to change mine to high. I suggest maybe you do the same. That basically means if you leave your mouse over an icon, it pops up a little pop-up, leave it a little bit longer, it pops another tool assistance up, and then we'll give you a little video showing what each of the clicks you've just done or need to do are. So that's quite useful. Switch behavior, so what happens when you switch between your projects and your family editor. Again, leave them as default, to be honest. It just means when you go back it goes back to the previous one you're on, if that makes sense. Then we've got graphics. So depending on your graphics card you may see this sign. So my PC says it's an unknown graphics card, but it works fine with Revit, to be honest. You're just probably not certified by Autodesk. Down at the bottom you can see you've got these hardware accelerator, optimized viewing and smooth line annotations. If you've got a graphics card in your computer, have them ticked, to be honest, and have that icon ticked as well there. I've never had a problem with them, so I don't imagine you would. Then you can see you've got invert background, so shock horror, you can change the background from white to black or vice versa. I think there is an update that lets you change the background to any colour that you want, but I haven't got that updated. Then the default pre-selections, if I remember, they'll be blue, so they'll be like that. Whereas I don't tend to have mine set like that. I'll have the selection blue and pre-selection green. So what that basically was telling me is if I hover over something and I don't click on it, i.e. pre-select, it'll highlight green. If I select it, it'll then go blue and it'll be see-through, transparent. So that's what that means. If you get an alert in Revit, so if something doesn't quite compute or Revit doesn't quite understand it, it'll highlight in orange. So again, I don't see a need to change that, so I tend to leave mine. Then you've got this function in Revit called temporary dimensions. So if you click on an item, you'll see a bit like some annotation lines appear telling you the distance that Revit's decided to measure from, and you can use them to adjust its position. The default size I think is 8. It might be 8 on yours, but if I have mine set to 12, just so I don't have to sort of squint at the screen any harder. And then the background of that text of 12 is see-through. Then you've got file locations, so this is quite a useful one. So when you first start in Revit, you'll see you've got architect's template, mechanical template, structural template, and construction template. Now over here in the projects area, you can see template, 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 template. They are basically them. Now when you're comfortable with Revit and you produce your own template, you can add that to that list and it'll always appear there. But that's what they're for. Then you've got the default. When you press save, it'll default to your documents. With the when you've installed Revit, it's actually installed obviously a lot of other files, and in the background all your family templates, which are in this area here. Now they're used to make a table, air conditioning unit, plug. I suppose the list is endless, but the templates are there, and then the route path for point cloud. So if you had some laser scanning done, you can set that there. So then we've got rendering. Not really sure what all that does, to be honest. Never really rendered on a remote PC, I think it is, but yep, if you can, then great. Then we've got spell checking. So depending on how you do your spell checking, you can obviously tick these if you need them or untick them if you don't. I think the general one there though sort of seems to cover all my spelling mistakes. And then you've got Autodesk English there. That was set to American. I'll change that to English, so you know, plenty of Z's and U's in that. And then you've got custom dictionary. So as you add new words into Revit that it's never had before, it will remember them. So rather a bit like how Word does, I think. Then we've got steering wheel. Now I'll do another video on the steering wheel because it's really, really useful. It's a very good way to navigate around a 3D model. But it's a little cube in the top corner, so we'll go through that another time. Then you've got your view cube again in the top corner, and it's just basically as it suggests, a view cube with 6-8 sides, and you can just click on it and it will adjust the view, and we'll do another video for that. And then macros. So if you can produce some macros in Revit, I've never done it, but you can produce macros in Revit and then play them and have them run. So that's basically the options sort of area. So spend some time in it. Don't worry, if you click on something you're not going to break it. Okay, thank you for watching.